Emma Chen walked into the old community center on a cold Tuesday afternoon. She carried 3 heavy bags filled with old piano books and sheet music. The building was old and quiet. Paint was falling off the walls. The floor made noise under her feet. She was a music teacher at Lincoln Academy, one of the best schools in Seattle. Her students came from rich families. They played expensive pianos in big houses. But Emma remembered when she was young and poor. Her first piano lessons were in a place just like this community center. That was why she came here today. She wanted to give away her old music books. Maybe some poor kid would learn piano from them. Maybe they would love music the way she did. Emma walked down the long hallway. She heard water splashing. Someone was cleaning the floor. She turned the corner and saw a man with a mop and bucket. He wore a gray uniform. His name tag said Daniel in simple letters. The man looked up and smiled. "Hello. Can I help you?" Emma lifted her heavy bags. "I'm looking for the office. I want to donate these music books." Daniel pointed down the hall. "Third door on the left. But Mrs. Kim went home early today. She'll be back tomorrow morning." Emma's shoulders dropped. She felt tired. "Oh. I can't come back tomorrow. I have classes all day." "You can leave them with me," Daniel said. "I'll make sure Mrs. Kim gets them." Emma looked at him. He seemed honest. His eyes were kind. "Okay. Thank you." She put the bags down near the wall. As she did, she noticed an old piano in the corner of the room. It sat there like a forgotten friend. Dust covered the top. Some keys were yellow with age. Emma walked toward the piano. She couldn't help herself. When she saw a piano, she always wanted to touch it. It was like meeting an old friend. "Does it work?" she asked. Daniel stopped mopping. "Yes, but it's not tuned. Nobody plays it much anymore." Emma sat on the wooden bench. It was old and scratched. She pressed one key. The sound came out wrong, too high. She pressed another. That one was too low. But still, it was a piano. She put her hands on the keys and started to play. She played a simple song first. Something easy. The piano sounded terrible, but Emma didn't care. Her fingers moved across the keys like they were dancing. She closed her eyes and forgot where she was. Then she tried something harder. It was a piece by Chopin. She learned it 2 years ago. It was beautiful but difficult. There was one part where her fingers had to move very fast. She always had trouble with that part. Emma played and played. When she reached the hard part, her fingers got confused. She stopped and tried again. Still wrong. She made a small angry sound. "The fingering is tricky there," a voice said behind her. Emma jumped. She forgot Daniel was there. She turned and looked at him. He still held his mop. "Sorry?" Emma said. Daniel looked a bit shy. "The passage you're struggling with. If you use your thumb on that note instead of your ring finger, it flows better. The reach is easier." Emma stared at him. This janitor was giving her advice about Chopin? She was a professional music teacher. She studied at a university. She taught rich kids who won competitions. She smiled politely. "Oh. Thanks. I'll try that." But inside, she felt annoyed. Who was this man to tell her how to play? Just because he mopped floors near a piano didn't make him a music expert. Daniel seemed to understand. His face turned a little red. "Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I heard you playing. It sounded nice." Emma felt bad for being rude, even in her thoughts. "No, it's okay. Do you play piano?" Daniel looked at the old instrument. For a moment, something strange crossed his face. It was like he was remembering something far away. Something important. "A little," he said quietly. "A long time ago." "That's nice," Emma said. She stood up from the bench. She wanted to leave now. This was getting awkward. Well, thank you for taking the music books. I should go. Of course. Have a good evening. Emma walked toward the door. She picked up her empty bags. As she reached the exit, she looked back one more time. Daniel was mopping again? But he wasn't looking at the floor. He was looking at the piano. That night, Emma sat in her apartment. It was a nice place. Modern and clean. Very different from the old community center. She made tea and sat by the window. Outside, the city lights were bright. She thought about the janitor. Daniel. Something about him was strange. When he talked about the fingering in the Chopin piece, he sounded like he really knew. His eyes had a look that she recognized. It was the look of someone who understood music deeply. But that was silly, she told herself. He was a janitor. A nice man who probably played piano as a hobby when he was young. Lots of people learned piano as kids and then quit. Emma picked up her phone. She had 3 messages from her mother. All of them were about Richard. Richard was a man her mother wanted her to marry. He worked at a bank and made lots of money. He wore expensive suits. Her mother loved him. Emma liked Richard. But she didn't love him. Not really. He was safe. He was boring. He never surprised her. She put her phone down without answering. She thought about the old piano again. About the dust on the top. About the broken sound it made. About Daniel's sad eyes when he looked at it. She wondered what his story was. But she probably would never know. She probably would never see him again. Emma was wrong about that. The next 3 weeks were busy. Emma taught classes every day. She graded papers at night. She went to faculty meetings. She had dinner with Richard twice. Both times were boring. He talked about money. She pretended to listen. On Saturday morning, Emma went to her favorite coffee shop. It was a small place near the park. They made good coffee and the chairs were comfortable. She always went there to grade papers on weekends. She walked in and ordered her usual drink. Then she found her favorite table by the window. She sat down and opened her bag. She pulled out papers and her red pen. Emma? She looked up. Standing 3 feet away was Daniel. He wasn't wearing his gray uniform. He wore jeans and a simple blue shirt. He looked different. Younger somehow. Daniel, she said, surprised. Hi. I'm sorry to bother you, he said. I just recognized you. I come here sometimes. Oh. That's okay. It's a good coffee shop. Daniel smiled. Yes. The best. There was a moment of silence. Emma didn't know what to say. Should she invite him to sit? That seemed too personal. Should she just say goodbye? That seemed rude. Well, I'll let you work, Daniel said, noticing her papers. Have a good day. You too. He walked away. Emma watched him order coffee at the counter. She felt strange. What were the chances of seeing him here? Seattle was a big city. She tried to focus on grading papers. But her eyes kept moving to where Daniel sat. He had a book. He was reading quietly. He looked peaceful. Emma shook her head and went back to work. Just a coincidence, she told herself. Nothing more. But it wasn't the last time she would see him. In fact, it was just the beginning. 2 days after seeing Daniel at the coffee shop, Emma saw him again. This time it was at the grocery store. She was buying vegetables when she noticed him in the next aisle. He was reading the label on a soup can. Daniel? She said. He looked up and smiled. Emma. Hello again. This is strange, Emma said. We keep meeting. Daniel laughed. Seattle is big, but sometimes small too. They talked for a few minutes about nothing important. The weather. The price of food. Then they said goodbye and went different ways. Emma pushed her cart and thought it was very strange indeed. The next week, Emma volunteered at a charity event. The event was at a hospital. Volunteers were serving food to sick children. Emma did this once a month. It made her feel good to help. She was cutting a cake when she saw a familiar face. Daniel was there. He wore a volunteer shirt and was making balloon animals for the kids. He was very good at it. The children were laughing and clapping. Emma walked over. "Are you following me?" she asked, but she was smiling. Daniel looked genuinely surprised. "You volunteer here too?" "I've been coming here for 2 years." Emma felt silly. "Oh. I'm sorry. I just thought." "Never mind." "It's okay," Daniel said. He made a balloon dog and gave it to a little girl. "Maybe we're just meant to keep meeting." Emma didn't know what to say to that. She went back to cutting cake. But she kept watching Daniel. He was so gentle with the children. So patient. One little boy was crying, and Daniel sat with him for 20 minutes until he felt better. Richard never volunteered anywhere. He said he was too busy making money. The following Saturday, Emma taught a special class. It was called Music for Everyone. It was a free class for adults who wanted to learn about classical music. Emma taught it at the community college. She didn't get paid much, but she loved doing it. She walked into the classroom and looked at the students. 20 people sat in chairs. They were all ages. Old people and young people. Rich and poor. And there, in the back row, was Daniel. Emma stopped walking. She just stared at him. This couldn't be a coincidence anymore. Daniel raised his hand like a student. "Hi, Miss Chen." After class, Emma walked up to him. "Okay, what's going on? Why are you everywhere I go?" Daniel stood up. He looked nervous. "I'm sorry if I'm making you uncomfortable. I wanted to learn more about music. And you're a great teacher." "But my class? The hospital? The coffee shop?" "The hospital and coffee shop were real coincidences," Daniel said. "I really do go there. But yes, I signed up for your class on purpose. I saw the flyer at the community center." Emma crossed her arms. "Why?" Daniel took a breath. "Because I think you're interesting. And kind. And I wanted to know you better." Emma didn't expect such an honest answer. Most men played games. They pretended. But Daniel just said what he felt. "I have a boyfriend," Emma said. It wasn't exactly true. Richard was something. But not really a boyfriend. "Okay," Daniel said. "I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just enjoy being around you. Even if we're just friends." Emma didn't know what to feel. Part of her was annoyed. Part of her was flattered. A small part of her was curious about this strange janitor who kept appearing in her life. "Fine," she said. "You can come to the class. But no more surprises." Daniel smiled. No more surprises. But Emma started seeing him everywhere anyway. At the library where she returned books. At the park where she jogged. At another charity event for homeless people. Every time, Daniel was kind and respectful. He never pushed. He never made her uncomfortable. He just was there. Emma's friends started to notice. Her best friend, Lisa, said he was either very romantic or very creepy. "He's a janitor who's following you around," Lisa said over lunch. "That's weird, Emma." "He's not following me," Emma said. "He's just around." "Do you like him?" Emma thought about it. "I don't know. He's nice. But he's so different from me. Different world. Different life." Lisa ate her salad. "Different doesn't mean bad." "I know. But my mother would die. Richard is already what she wants. Rich, successful, from a good family." "Do you love Richard?" Emma was quiet. No. Then why are you with him? I'm not really with him. We just see each other sometimes. Lisa shook her head. You need to figure out what you want, Emma. That night, Emma had dinner with Richard and her mother. They went to an expensive restaurant. The kind where the food was tiny and the prices were huge. Richard wore a suit. Her mother wore diamonds. Emma, Richard has something to ask you, her mother said. She looked very excited. Richard cleared his throat. Emma, we've been seeing each other for a year now. I think it's time we got more serious. I want to meet your father officially and discuss our future. Emma felt cold. Our future? Marriage, Richard said simply. You're 28. I'm 31. It makes sense. Her mother clapped her hands. Oh, Emma. This is wonderful. But Emma didn't feel wonderful. She felt trapped. Richard, I need to think about this. Richard looked confused. Think about what? We're perfect together. Same education level. Same social class. My family likes you. Your mother approves. But do you love me? Emma asked. Richard blinked. Of course. You're beautiful and smart. You're exactly what I want in a wife. That wasn't the same as love. Emma knew that. But she just nodded and said she needed time. Her mother was angry in the car. What's wrong with you? Richard is perfect. Do you know how many girls want him? Then maybe he should marry one of them, Emma said quietly. The next day was Sunday. Emma went to the community center. She didn't know why. She just felt like going there. Maybe to return more music books. Maybe just to think. She walked down the familiar hallway. It was quiet. Sunday was Daniel's day off, probably. The piano sat alone in the corner. Emma sat down at the bench. She played for an hour. The piano still sounded terrible. But she didn't care. Something about this broken old piano made her feel free. You play beautifully, even on a broken instrument. Emma jumped. Daniel stood in the doorway. He wore casual clothes. You scared me. I thought you had the day off. I do, Daniel said. I just came to fix something. I heard the piano and wondered who it was. Emma made room on the bench. Want to sit? Daniel looked surprised but sat down next to her. They sat in silence for a moment. Why do you work here? Emma asked. As a janitor, I mean. You seem like you could do more. Daniel looked at his hands. Sometimes doing more isn't the point. Sometimes just doing something honest is enough. That's a strange answer. I'm a strange person. Emma laughed. Yes, you are. You show up everywhere. You take my classes. You make balloon animals. And you give advice about Chopin. Daniel smiled. That bothered you, didn't it? When I suggested the fingering? Yes, Emma admitted. I thought you were just a janitor who didn't know anything. And now? Now I think you're a janitor who knows more than he shows. Daniel was quiet. Then he said, Can I try something? What? He put his hands on the piano keys. And he started to play. Not a simple song. Not an easy tune. He played Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Third movement. One of the hardest pieces ever written. And he played it perfectly. Emma's mouth fell open. His fingers flew across the keys. They moved so fast they were almost invisible. The broken piano sang under his hands. Even with the bad tuning, the music was incredible. When he finished, Emma couldn't speak. I told you I played a little, Daniel said softly. A little? Emma's voice was high. That was professional level. Better than professional. That was. I practiced a lot when I was younger. Emma stood up. Who are you? Really? Daniel looked at her. His eyes were sad. Just a man who used to play piano. That's all. No. Nobody plays like that from just practice. You have to tell me. Maybe someday, Daniel said. But not today. Emma felt frustrated. This man was a mystery. Every time she thought she understood him, he surprised her. You're very annoying, she said. Daniel laughed. So I've been told. They sat in silence again. Finally, Emma said, Richard wants to marry me. The boyfriend? Yes. Do you want to marry him? No. Then don't. It's not that simple. My family wants it. It makes sense on paper. He's successful and stable. Daniel played a single note on the piano. Middle C. Music that makes sense on paper doesn't always sound good when you play it. Emma knew he was right. I'm scared. Of what? Of choosing wrong. Of disappointing people. Of being alone. Daniel looked at her. You won't be alone. You have yourself. That's enough. Emma felt tears in her eyes. She didn't know why. Maybe because nobody ever told her that before. Everyone always said she needed someone. Needed to marry. Needed to settle down. Thank you, she whispered. They sat there until the sun started to set. Then Emma stood up. I should go. Emma, Daniel said. Can I ask you something? Yes. He took a breath. If I could play piano well enough to move you to tears, would you marry me? Emma laughed. She thought he was joking. Sure. If you can play well enough to make me cry, I'll marry you. Daniel didn't laugh. I'm serious. Emma stopped smiling. Daniel, I barely know you. You're a janitor. I'm a music teacher from a rich family. We're from different worlds. But if I could prove myself through music? If I could show you who I really am? Emma felt strange. This was crazy. But she said, fine. You want to impress me? Play piano so beautifully that I cry. Do that, and I'll marry you. She said it like a challenge. Like a joke. She never thought he would actually try. Daniel stood up. He looked right into her eyes. Give me 3 months. What? 3 months. I need to prepare. Then I'll play for you. And if you cry, you marry me. Emma realized he was completely serious. Daniel, I was kidding. You don't have to. I want to, he said. This is important to me. Please. Emma didn't know what to say. This was insane. But something in his eyes made her nod. Okay. 3 months. But you really don't have to do this. Daniel smiled. Yes, I do. Emma left the community center feeling confused. What just happened? Did she really just promise to marry a janitor if he played piano well? This was crazy. But when she got home and lay in bed, she couldn't stop thinking about how he played Beethoven. About his sad eyes. About his gentle hands. Who was Daniel really? And why did she suddenly want to know so badly? Daniel woke up at 5 in the morning. He had barely slept. His hands were shaking. Not from fear. From memory. He looked at his fingers in the dim light. These hands used to be famous once. He got out of bed and walked to the bathroom. He looked at himself in the mirror. Brown hair that needed cutting. A tired face. Simple clothes. Nobody would recognize him now. That was the point. Daniel made coffee and sat by the window. Outside, Seattle was still dark. He thought about Emma's challenge. 3 months to make her cry with his music. She said it like a joke. But Daniel heard it like a prayer. A chance to become himself again. He needed to remember who he was. Even if it hurt. Daniel's real name was Daniel Constantine. Not many people knew that name now. But 12 years ago, everyone knew it. He was called the next Mozart. The next Beethoven. The future of classical piano. His parents discovered his talent when he was 5. He was playing songs on a toy piano. Not simple songs. Complex pieces he heard just once on the radio. His mother cried. His father called newspapers. By age 7, Daniel was studying with famous teachers. By age 10, he won every competition he entered. By age 12, he played at Carnegie Hall in New York. The audience gave him a standing ovation for 10 minutes. Critics wrote that they witnessed history. Daniel remembered that night. He wore a small tuxedo. The piano was huge. His feet barely reached the pedals. But when he played, none of that mattered. The music poured out of him like water from a spring. Natural. Effortless. Perfect. Everyone said he was blessed. Gifted by God. Destined for greatness. Nobody asked if he was happy. By age 16, Daniel was touring the world. Tokyo. London. Paris. Vienna. Every city looked the same from hotel rooms. Every concert hall had the same smell. Every audience had the same hungry eyes. His manager was a man named Victor Cross. Victor was smart and mean. He controlled everything. What Daniel played. Where he went. Who he talked to. Victor said it was for Daniel's own good. To protect his talent. To build his career. Daniel's parents believed Victor. They took the money and let Victor decide everything. Daniel was just a boy. What could he say? By age 20, Daniel was exhausted. He played 300 concerts a year. He practiced 8 hours a day. He had no friends. No life. Just piano and travel and perform. Again and again and again. People called him a legend. But legends aren't people. They're stories. And Daniel was disappearing inside his own story. Then he met Isabella. She was a violinist. Beautiful and talented. She played with the same orchestra as Daniel in Rome. They talked after the concert. She made him laugh. He hadn't laughed in years. They started meeting in secret. Victor didn't allow relationships. Bad for the image, he said. But Daniel didn't care anymore. Isabella made him feel human again. Like more than just hands on a piano. For 6 months, they were happy. They talked about running away together. Starting over. Playing music for joy instead of for crowds. But Victor found out. And Isabella wasn't who Daniel thought she was. She was using him. She wanted fame by association. She sold stories about him to magazines. Private stories. Intimate moments. All lies mixed with truth. Daniel felt betrayed. Destroyed. He didn't know who to trust anymore. The breaking point came in Vienna. It was supposed to be the biggest concert of his career. The Vienna Musikverein. The most famous concert hall in the world. 2,000 people. Kings and presidents in the audience. Every ticket sold in minutes. Daniel was 22 years old. He hadn't slept in 3 days. Victor pushed him to practice more. The program was too difficult, Daniel said. He needed rest. But Victor didn't listen. The show must go on. Daniel walked onto that stage feeling like a ghost. The applause was deafening. The piano waited for him like an old enemy. He sat down. He put his hands on the keys. And he froze. His mind went blank. His hands wouldn't move. 2,000 people watched him sit there in silence. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Whispers started in the audience. Daniel tried to play. His fingers touched the keys. But nothing came out right. He played the wrong notes. He stopped. Started again. Wrong again. The music in his head was gone. Disappeared. He stood up. He looked at the audience. All those faces. All that expectation. All that pressure. 22 years of pressure. He walked off the stage. In the middle of the concert. Just walked away. The audience gasped. Victor shouted. His parents cried. But Daniel kept walking. Out of the hall. Into the street. Into the night. He disappeared that night. Completely. He left his phone in the hotel. His wallet. Everything. He just walked and walked and walked. The newspapers went crazy. Piano prodigy has breakdown. Daniel Constantine walks off stage in Vienna. The fall of a legend. They called him crazy. Unstable. Spoiled. A waste of talent. For days, Daniel was lost. He slept in parks. He didn't eat. He thought about dying. It seemed easier than living. But then he met an old man in a church. The man was a priest. He saw Daniel crying in a pew. He didn't ask questions. He just sat next to him in silence. After an hour, the priest said, God gives us talents to share, not to suffer. Daniel looked at him. What if the talent becomes the suffering? The priest smiled. Then you must learn to use it differently. A gift shouldn't be a prison. Those words saved Daniel's life. He realized he didn't have to be Daniel Constantine the legend. He could just be Daniel. A person who played piano. Not for fame. Not for money. Just for the love of music. He stayed in Europe for a year. He went to therapy. He learned about trauma and burnout and depression. He learned that what happened to him wasn't failure. It was survival. Then he came to America. To Seattle. A city where nobody knew him. He got a simple job. Janitor at a community center. He lived in a small apartment. He had no piano at first. He didn't want one. For 2 years, he didn't play a single note. Every time he saw a piano, he felt sick. His therapist said it was normal. The instrument represented everything that hurt him. But slowly, carefully, he started to heal. He volunteered. He helped people. He lived a quiet, normal life. He made a few friends who knew nothing about classical music. And then one day, he walked past the piano at the community center. He didn't feel sick. He felt curious. Like seeing an old friend after a long fight. He touched one key. Middle C. The note rang out in the empty room. And Daniel cried. Not from pain. From relief. He started playing again. Just a little. Just for himself. Late at night when nobody was there. Simple songs at first. Then harder pieces. The muscle memory came back. His fingers remembered what his mind tried to forget. Music could be beautiful again. It could be healing. It didn't have to be performance. It didn't have to be perfect. It could just be honest. Then Emma walked into his life. This proud music teacher with kind eyes. This woman who played piano like she was talking to an old friend. She reminded him why he fell in love with music in the first place. When she made that challenge, play well enough to make her cry, Daniel heard it like a call. A chance to play again. Not for crowds. Not for critics. Just for one person. For someone who might understand. He had 3 months. 3 months to prepare. Not just the music. But himself. Could he sit at a piano in front of people again? Could he perform without breaking? His therapist said it was risky. You've come so far, Daniel. Don't push yourself too hard. But Daniel felt ready. Maybe not for the world. But for Emma. For this one woman who challenged him without knowing who he was. Daniel went to the community center that night. He sat at the old broken piano. He started to practice. His fingers moved across the keys. Slowly at first. Then faster. The muscle memory was still there. The talent never left. It just got buried under fear. Mrs. Kim found him there at midnight. She was the director of the community center. An old Korean woman with sharp eyes and a kind heart. You play beautifully, she said. Daniel stopped. Thank you. Mrs. Kim came closer. She looked at his hands. Then at his face. I know who you are. Daniel's heart stopped. What? Daniel Constantine. I saw you play in San Francisco. 10 years ago. You were magnificent. Daniel wanted to run. To hide. But Mrs. Kim put her hand on his shoulder. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone. I understand why you're here. How? Daniel whispered. Because I see you every day. You're not running from music? You're learning to love it again. She smiled. This girl. Emma. She's special to you? Daniel nodded. Then play for her. Not as Daniel Constantine. As Daniel. The man who cleans floors and makes balloon animals and has a good heart. Mrs. Kim patted his shoulder. That's who she needs to see. After she left, Daniel sat in the dark. Mrs. Kim was right. He couldn't play as the old Daniel Constantine. That man was dead. Or at least sleeping. He had to play as himself now. As the person he became after everything broke and slowly healed. Could that be enough? Could honest music from a broken person move someone to tears? Daniel didn't know. But he had 3 months to find out. He practiced every night. He chose his pieces carefully. Not the flashy ones he used to play. Not the pieces meant to impress. He chose music that told a story. His story. Loss and pain and hope and healing. Some nights his hands shook too much to play. Some nights the memories came back too strong. But he kept going. Because this wasn't about proving he could still play. It was about proving he could still feel. Emma came to the community center sometimes. She didn't know he was there at night. She would play the old piano during the day. Daniel watched her from shadows. The way she closed her eyes when she played. The way she smiled when she got a passage right. The way she frowned when she messed up. She was beautiful. Not just her face. Her spirit. She loved music the way he used to love it. Pure and simple and true. Daniel wanted to give her a gift. The gift of seeing someone play from their soul. Not from their ego. Not from their training. From the deepest place inside. Could he do it? Could he sit at a piano in front of people after 5 years of hiding? Could he play without breaking apart? The answer was simple. For Emma, he had to try. 3 months suddenly didn't seem like enough time. The news spread quickly through the community center. Daniel the janitor was going to play piano for Emma the music teacher. And if he played well enough, she promised to marry him. It started with Mrs. Kim. She told one person. That person told 2 more. Those 2 told everyone they knew. Within a week, the whole neighborhood was talking about it. Did you hear? The janitor thinks he can make her cry with piano music. That poor man. He's going to embarrass himself. I think it's romantic. Like a fairy tale. It's crazy. She's a professional teacher. He cleans floors. Emma heard the gossip everywhere she went. At the grocery store. At her coffee shop. Even at the academy where she taught. One of her students asked, Miss Chen, is it true you're going to marry a janitor? Emma's face turned red. No. It was just a joke. He took it too seriously. But inside, she felt guilty. She tried to find Daniel several times. To tell him he didn't need to do this. That she was sorry for making such a stupid challenge. But Daniel avoided her. He left notes with Mrs. Kim. Please don't worry. I want to do this. Just give me the 3 months I asked for. Emma didn't understand. Why was this so important to him? It was just a silly promise. She barely knew him. Why would he work so hard for someone like her? Her mother heard the gossip too. She called Emma every day. Is this true? Are you really going to marry a janitor if he plays piano? Mom, it's not like that. It was a joke. Well, it's not funny. People are talking. Richard heard about it. He's very upset. Emma felt tired. Richard doesn't own me. No, but he wants to marry you. And you're making him look like a fool. I'm making him look like a fool? He's the one who proposed without even saying he loves me. Her mother was quiet. Then she said, "Love comes later, Emma. Security comes first." Emma hung up. She was so tired of that logic. Tired of being told what made sense. What was proper? What was right? The next day, Richard came to her apartment. He didn't call first. He just showed up with flowers and a serious face. "Emma, we need to talk about this janitor situation." Emma let him in. She didn't want the neighbors to hear. "There's no situation, Richard. It's just gossip." "But is it true? Did you promise to marry him?" Emma sat down. "I said something stupid as a joke." He took it seriously. "That's all." Richard looked relieved. "Good. Because I was worried. You've been acting strange lately. Distant. Maybe because we don't really know each other, Richard. We just go to nice restaurants and talk about nothing important." "That's what dating is, Emma." "No. That's what wasting time is." Richard frowned. "What do you want from me? I have a good job. A good family. I treat you well. What more is there?" Emma looked at him. Really looked at him. He was handsome. Successful. Kind in his own way. But there was no fire in his eyes. No passion. No mystery. "I want someone who surprises me," Emma said quietly. "Someone who makes me feel alive." "And a janitor does that?" "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I just want to believe someone cares enough to try." Richard stood up. "I care about you, Emma. But do you love me? Really love me?" Richard was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "I'm not good with words like that. But I want to marry you. Isn't that enough?" "No," Emma said. "It's not." Richard left angry. Emma sat alone in her apartment. Her phone buzzed with messages from her mother. She ignored them all. The truth was, Emma didn't know what she wanted. But she knew what she didn't want. She didn't want to marry someone just because it made sense. She didn't want a life that was safe but empty. At the community center, things were changing. Word about Daniel's challenge had spread even further. People Emma didn't know stopped her in the street. "Are you the teacher? The one with the piano promise? I saw you at the academy. Is it true about the janitor? My daughter wants to come watch. When is the performance?" Performance? Emma hadn't thought about that. She imagined Daniel playing for her in the empty community center. Just the two of them. But people were talking about it like a concert. She went to find Mrs. Kim. "What's happening? Why is everyone treating this like a public event?" Mrs. Kim smiled. "Because it's a beautiful story, Emma. People love stories about love and music and chances. But I didn't agree to a public performance. This was private." "Is it? You made the challenge in a public place. Daniel is preparing in a public place. Why should the result be private?" Emma felt frustrated. "Because it's embarrassing. What if he plays badly? What if I don't cry? Then everyone will see him fail." "Or everyone will see something beautiful," Mrs. Kim said. "Have a little faith." "Faith in what? A janitor who thinks he can play piano well enough to make a professional music teacher cry?" Mrs. Kim looked at Emma with wise eyes. "Yes. Exactly that." Emma's best friend Lisa was more direct. They met for lunch, and Lisa said, "You need to stop this." "I tried. He won't listen." "Then be more clear. Tell him you don't want to marry him. Tell him this whole thing is crazy." Emma pushed food around her plate. "But what if he's amazing? What if he really can play that well?" Lisa stared at her. Wait. Do you actually want him to succeed? Emma didn't answer. She didn't know the answer. Emma, this is serious. If he plays well, are you really going to marry him? A man you barely know? I promised. Promises made as jokes don't count. Maybe they should, Emma said quietly. Lisa put down her fork. You're falling for him. Aren't you? I don't know. Maybe. There's something about him. Something mysterious and sad and real. He's a janitor, Emma. You're a music teacher from a wealthy family. This is Romeo and Juliet. It ends badly. Maybe. But at least it's interesting. At the academy, Emma's colleagues were less kind. The other teachers whispered when she walked by. Some of them laughed. One teacher, an older woman named Professor White, pulled Emma aside. My dear, people are talking. This situation with the janitor is reflecting poorly on the academy. How? This has nothing to do with the academy. But you teach here. Our reputation is connected to yours. We can't have our faculty making foolish promises to working-class men. Emma felt anger rise in her chest. What's wrong with working-class men? Professor White looked shocked. Nothing, of course. But there are appropriate matches and inappropriate ones. Surely you understand. No. I don't understand. Please explain it to me. Professor White got flustered. Well, I just mean. People of different backgrounds rarely work out. It's better to marry within your social circle. Like you did? Emma asked. Everyone knew Professor White divorced 3 times. All to rich men. Professor White walked away angry. But Emma didn't care. She was tired of people telling her how to live. Who to marry? What made sense? Meanwhile, Daniel practiced every night. The community center stayed open late for him. Mrs. Kim said it was for cleaning, but really she was giving Daniel time to prepare. People started coming to watch him practice. They stood outside the door and listened. The music that came from that room was incredible. Powerful and emotional and perfect. The rumors changed. People stopped saying Daniel would embarrass himself. They started saying he must be a professional. Maybe he studied music before. Maybe he was famous once. Daniel heard the whispers. He knew his secret was in danger. But he couldn't stop now. He made a promise to Emma. More than that, he made a promise to himself. To prove he could play again without breaking. His therapist was worried. Daniel, this is a lot of pressure. Are you sure you're ready? No. But I have to try. What if you freeze again? Like in Vienna? Daniel had thought about that every day. The possibility that he would sit at the piano and his hands would refuse to move. That the fear would come back. That he would break in front of Emma and everyone else. Then I break, Daniel said. But at least I tried. His therapist nodded. That's brave. But please, be careful with your heart. Too late, Daniel said. I already gave it away. 2 weeks before the performance, Emma went back to the community center. She waited until late, when she knew Daniel would be practicing. She stood outside the door and listened. He was playing Rachmaninoff. One of the hardest composers. The music was so beautiful it hurt. Emma felt tears on her face. She was crying, and he hadn't even played for her yet. She pushed the door open. Daniel stopped immediately. Emma. Don't stop, she said. Please. Keep playing. I can't. Not yet. Not until the day comes. Emma walked into the room. Daniel, why are you doing this? Really? Tell me the truth. Daniel stood up from the piano. Because you made me remember why I loved music. You play with so much joy. So much freedom. I forgot that was possible. But you play better than me. Better than anyone I've ever heard. Technical skill isn't the same as joy, Emma. You have something I lost a long time ago. And being near you makes me want to find it again. Emma felt her heart beating fast. What if I don't cry? What if your playing is beautiful, but I don't cry? Then you don't cry. And I'll still be grateful I tried. And the marriage promise? Daniel smiled. That was always just an excuse. A reason to push myself. I don't expect you to marry me, Emma. I just want to give you a gift. The gift of my music. Emma didn't know what to say. This man was so different from anyone she ever met. So honest. So brave. So broken and so strong at the same time. I'll be there, she said. In 2 weeks. I'll listen. And if I cry, we'll figure out what that means. Daniel nodded. That's all I ask. Emma left feeling like her whole world was shifting. Richard wanted to marry her because it made sense. Daniel wanted to play for her because it didn't make sense. And somehow, the thing that didn't make sense felt more real. The community center started preparing for the performance. Mrs. Kim called every contact she had. She arranged for a beautiful grand piano to be brought in. She set up chairs for an audience. She printed flyers. The event was scheduled for Saturday night. 7 o'clock. Everyone was invited. Free admission. Emma's mother found out and called in a panic. You can't go, Emma. People from the academy will be there. Richard might go. This will be humiliating. Maybe, Emma said. Or maybe it will be beautiful. You're throwing your life away for a janitor. I'm not throwing anything away, Mom. I'm just listening to someone play piano. That's all. But it wasn't all. Both Emma and Daniel knew it. And so did everyone else who bought into their story. This performance was more than music. It was a test. Of courage. Of love. Of whether beautiful things could happen between people from different worlds. 200 people said they would come. Some believed in the romance. Some wanted to see Daniel fail. Some just wanted free entertainment. Emma didn't care about any of them. She only cared about one thing. Would she cry? And if she did, what would that mean for her life? In 2 weeks, she would find out. The day arrived. Saturday. The day Daniel would play for Emma. The day everything would change. Emma woke up with her stomach in knots. She couldn't eat breakfast. She tried on 5 different dresses. Nothing felt right. Too formal. Too casual. Too much. Not enough. Finally, she chose a simple blue dress. The color of the sky. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were wide with nervousness. What was she so afraid of? The truth, maybe. Whatever the piano would reveal tonight. Her phone rang. It was her mother. Emma ignored it. She couldn't deal with that conversation right now. Richard texted too. We should talk before tonight. Emma deleted the message. Lisa came over at noon. She brought wine and sandwiches. You need to eat something. I can't. My stomach is jumping. Emma, it's just a piano performance. You've been to thousands. This one is different. Lisa sat down next to her. What do you want to happen tonight? Emma thought about it. I want him to be good. Really good. I want to understand who he is. And if he is good? If you do cry? Then I have a decision to make. About marrying him? Emma nodded. I made a promise. Promises made in jokes don't have to be kept. Maybe they're the most important ones to keep, Emma said. At the community center, Daniel was trying not to panic. His hands were shaking. Not badly, but enough to notice. He kept opening and closing his fingers, trying to make them steady. Mrs. Kim found him backstage. There was no real backstage, just a storage room behind the main hall. But that's where Daniel was hiding. How are you feeling? She asked. Terrified. Mrs. Kim smiled. Good. That means it matters. What if I freeze? Like last time? Then you freeze. And we'll help you. But I don't think you will. Do you know why? Why? Because last time you were playing for thousands of strangers who wanted to own your talent. Tonight you're playing for one person who just wants to hear your heart. Daniel took a deep breath. What if my heart isn't good enough? Every heart is good enough. You just have to be brave enough to show it. Mrs. Kim left him alone. Daniel sat on a folding chair in the storage room. He could hear people arriving. Voices. Footsteps. Chairs scraping the floor. He looked at his hands. These hands that played at Carnegie Hall. These hands that broke in Vienna. These hands that cleaned floors for 5 years. These hands that were about to try again. Please, he thought. Please work. Please remember. Please don't let me down. By 6:30, the community center was packed. Over 200 people filled every chair. More stood against the walls. Some sat on the floor. The room was hot from all the bodies. Everyone was talking, waiting, wondering. Emma arrived at 6:45. Lisa was with her. They stood in the back, looking at the crowd. Emma felt sick. This is too many people, she whispered. This was supposed to be private. Too late now, Lisa said. Emma saw people from the academy. Professor White was there, looking disapproving. Some of Emma's students came with their parents. Emma saw Richard near the front. He saw her too. He didn't smile. Just stared. Her mother was there too. Sitting with Richard. Her face said everything. Disappointment. Embarrassment. Anger. Emma wanted to run. But then Mrs. Kim came over. Emma, dear. Daniel asked me to tell you something. What? He said no matter what happens tonight, he's grateful. And he wants you to sit in the front row. There's a chair reserved for you. Emma looked at the front row. One empty chair. Right in front of the piano. The best seat. The most exposed seat. Everyone would see her face. Her reactions. Her tears or lack of tears. I can't, Emma said. You can, Mrs. Kim said gently. He needs to play for you, not for them. So please. Sit where he can see you. Lisa squeezed Emma's hand. Go. I'll be right here. Emma walked to the front. People watched her pass. She heard whispers. That's her. The teacher. I wonder if she'll really cry. She sat in the chair. The grand piano was 3 feet in front of her. It was beautiful. Black and shiny. A Steinway. The best kind. Much better than the old broken piano in the corner. Emma's heart was pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. At exactly 7 o'clock, the lights dimmed. The room went quiet. Then Daniel walked out. Emma gasped. She had never seen him like this. He wore a simple black suit. His hair was combed back. He looked different. Older. More serious. But his eyes were the same. Kind and sad and nervous. Daniel walked to the piano. He didn't look at the audience. He only looked at Emma. He sat down on the bench. He adjusted it slightly. He put his hands on the keys but didn't press down yet. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. I'm going to play 3 pieces tonight. The first is by Debussy. The second is by Rachmaninoff. The third is something I wrote myself. I dedicate all of them to Emma. Thank you for listening. That was all he said. Then he put his fingers on the keys and began. The first notes of Clair de Lune filled the room. Soft. Gentle. Like moonlight on water. Daniel played with such tenderness that Emma forgot to breathe. This wasn't just good playing. This was something else. Something beyond technique. Every note had feeling. Every phrase told a story. The music moved like poetry. Like a whisper. Like a prayer. Emma watched Daniel's hands. They moved so smoothly. So naturally. Like the piano was part of his body. His eyes were closed. His face was peaceful. He wasn't performing. He was sharing? The room was completely silent. 200 people holding their breath. Even the people who came to mock him were caught in the spell. Emma felt something wet on her cheek. She touched it. A tear. Already. But he wasn't done yet. The Debussy ended with one soft note that hung in the air. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Daniel began the Rachmaninoff. This piece was different. Powerful. Passionate. His hands flew across the keys. The music crashed like waves. Then pulled back like the tide. Loud, then soft. Fast, then slow. Daniel's whole body moved with the music. His shoulders. His back. Everything. Emma had heard this piece 100 times. She taught it to advanced students. But she had never heard it like this. Daniel wasn't just playing notes. He was living them. Suffering them. Celebrating them. More tears came. Emma didn't try to stop them. She let them fall. This was what music should be. This was what she forgot. Music wasn't about being perfect. It was about being honest. The Rachmaninoff ended with a chord that shook the room. People wanted to clap. But Daniel didn't pause. He went straight into the third piece. His own composition. This was the most beautiful of all. It started with one hand playing a simple melody. Sad and lonely. The left hand joined in. Now the melody had support. Harmony. The music grew. It got more complex. More colors. More voices. Emma understood what he was saying. The music told his story. Loneliness. Pain. Then finding something good. Someone good. The melody changed. It became hopeful. Then joyful. Then almost overwhelmed. Then peaceful. The music spoke what words couldn't say. I was broken. I am still broken. But maybe broken things can still be beautiful. Emma was crying fully now. Not just tears. She was sobbing. Her whole body shook. This wasn't just about the music. It was about Daniel. About his courage. About a man who could have stayed hidden forever but chose to be brave for her. The final note faded away. Silence filled the room. Daniel opened his eyes. He looked at Emma. He saw her tears. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. The whole world disappeared. 200 people didn't exist. Just Emma and Daniel. Just a question and an answer. Then the room exploded. Everyone stood up at once. The applause was like thunder. People shouted. Some were crying too. Not just Emma. Half the room had tears on their faces. Bravo! Someone yelled. Incredible! Who is he? That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. But Daniel didn't hear them. He stood up from the piano. He walked to Emma. He knelt down in front of her chair. He took her hands. You cried, he said softly. Emma couldn't speak. She nodded. I didn't mean to make you sad, Daniel said. Emma laughed through her tears. I'm not sad. I don't know what I am. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. The applause continued. People wouldn't stop clapping. But Daniel and Emma stayed in their bubble. Just the two of them. You kept your promise, Emma finally said. You made me cry. So now you have to marry me? Daniel smiled a little. That was the deal. Emma looked into his eyes. Who are you? Really? Nobody plays like that unless they've been playing their whole life. Unless they're... Before she could finish, someone in the crowd shouted. Oh my God. That's Daniel Constantine. Emma turned. A man was holding up his phone. On the screen was an old video. A young man playing piano. The face was younger but the same. Daniel. It is him. Daniel Constantine. The one who disappeared. More phones came out. People were searching. Comparing. Confirming. The whispers grew into noise. Into chaos. Daniel Constantine is alive. He's here. He's been here the whole time. He was the janitor? Emma looked back at Daniel. Is that true? Are you Daniel Constantine? Daniel's face was sad. Yes. The famous pianist? The one who played at Carnegie Hall when he was 12? Yes. The one who walked off stage in Vienna 5 years ago? Yes. Emma stood up. She pulled her hands away. She felt dizzy. Confused. Angry. Overwhelmed. You lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing. Emma's voice was loud now. You let me think you were just a janitor. You let me challenge you like an idiot. You let me make a fool of myself. No, Daniel stood too. I never wanted that. I just wanted to be seen as myself. Not as Daniel Constantine. Just as Daniel. But that's who you are. You're famous. You're a legend. I'm a person who has talent. That's all. The fame is just noise. The crowd was pushing closer. People wanted to talk to Daniel. To touch him. To take pictures. Security started pushing them back, but there weren't enough guards. It was chaos. Richard pushed through the crowd. Emma. Let's go. This is insane. Emma's mother was there too. Emma, come home right now. This is a circus. But Emma couldn't move. She just stared at Daniel. At this man who was a mystery. A janitor. A legend. A liar. A genius. A broken person. Everything and nothing she thought he was. Mrs. Kim appeared at Daniel's side. We need to get you out of here. There are reporters outside. Daniel didn't move. Emma. Please. Let me explain everything. Give me one chance. Emma's head was spinning. I need to think. I need air. She pushed through the crowd. Lisa caught her. Together they ran out of the community center. Behind them, the noise grew louder. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. Emma got into Lisa's car. She was still crying. But now she didn't know if the tears were from the beauty of the music or the pain of feeling betrayed. Lisa drove without asking where to go. She just drove. Finally, Emma said, "Take me home." Your home or your parents? My home. That night, Emma lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages. Calls. Voicemails. She ignored them all. The music still played in her head. So beautiful. So honest. How could someone play like that and be dishonest about who they were? But was it really dishonest? Or was Daniel trying to be more honest by hiding his past? Was he more real as a janitor than as a famous pianist? Emma didn't know. All she knew was that she made a promise. And Daniel kept his end. He made her cry. He played so beautifully that her heart broke open. So what did that mean? Did she really have to marry him? Could she marry someone who hid such a huge part of himself? Could she marry someone she barely knew? Could she marry someone her family would hate? Could she marry someone the whole world would judge? Or worse, could she not marry him and spend the rest of her life wondering what if? Emma closed her eyes. She could still see Daniel's face. The way he looked at her while he played. Like she was his whole world. Like nothing else mattered. Like his fingers on those keys were speaking directly to her soul. Tomorrow she would have to decide. But tonight, she just wanted to remember the music. The most beautiful, honest, Heartbreaking music she ever heard. Outside her window, the city was loud. But inside her head, there was only silence. And a question that kept repeating. What now? Emma didn't sleep. She lay in bed all night, listening to the city sounds. Cars passing. Sirens in the distance. Her own heart beating too fast. By morning, her phone had 147 messages. 53 missed calls. 27 voicemails. She looked at them with tired eyes. Messages from her mother. From Richard. From Lisa. From her boss at the academy. From students. From friends. From reporters she didn't know. Everyone wanted to talk to her. About Daniel. About the promise. About what would happen next. Emma got up and made coffee. Her hands shook as she poured the water. She sat by the window and watched the sun rise. The sky turned from black to gray to pink to blue. A whole new day. She opened her laptop. She needed to know the truth. Who was Daniel Constantine really? The search results were endless. Hundreds of articles. Videos. Interviews. Photos. Emma clicked on the first link. Daniel Constantine, the prodigy who vanished. She read. Then she watched videos. Then she read more. Hours passed. The coffee got cold. Emma didn't notice. She saw videos of Daniel as a child. Playing piano at age 7. His small hands reaching across the keys. His face serious and focused. The audience gasping. Grown men and women crying at the beauty of a child's playing. She saw him at 12. The famous Carnegie Hall performance. He wore a tiny tuxedo. His feet didn't touch the floor properly. But when he played, he became something else. Something not quite human. Pure music in a boy's body. She saw him at 16. Touring the world. Tokyo. London. Paris. Always alone. Always tired looking. Always with that serious face. She saw him at 20. Interviews where he barely spoke. Awards he didn't seem happy to receive. Photos where his eyes looked empty. Then she found the Vienna video. The one everyone talked about. Daniel walking on stage. Sitting at the piano. The silence that followed. The wrong notes. His face going white. Then him standing up and walking away. Emma watched it 3 times. She could see it in his face. The exact moment he broke. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Like a light going out. 1 second he was there. The next second he was gone. The comments below the video were cruel. What a waste of talent. He's crazy. Spoiled brat couldn't handle pressure. Good riddance. Emma felt angry reading them. These people didn't know him. They didn't know what it felt like to carry that much pressure. To be treated like a thing instead of a person. She found more articles. Where is Daniel Constantine? The search for the lost prodigy. 5 years later, still no sign of piano legend. People speculated. Maybe he died. Maybe he was in a hospital. Maybe he was living on the streets. Maybe he was in another country. Nobody knew. Until last night. When he appeared in a community center in Seattle. Playing for a music teacher he barely knew. Playing for love. Emma closed her laptop. She put her head in her hands. This changed everything. Or did it? Daniel was still Daniel. The man who cleaned floors. The man who made balloon animals. The man who volunteered at hospitals. The man who smiled at her in coffee shops. The man whose eyes were sad and kind. But he was also Daniel Constantine. A legend. A genius. Someone famous. Someone who could have any career he wanted. Any life. Anyone. Why her? Why a normal music teacher from Seattle? It didn't make sense. Unless he wasn't looking for someone impressive. Unless he was looking for someone who saw him as human. Someone who challenged him not because of his name but because of his heart. Emma stood up. She needed to talk to someone. Not her mother. Not Richard. Someone who would understand. She called Mrs. Kim. "Hello, Emma," Mrs. Kim answered. Her voice was warm. "I wondered when you would call. Can I come see you? I need to understand." "Of course. I'm at the community center. Come whenever you're ready." Emma drove there in the Sunday morning quiet. The streets were empty. The community center looked different in daylight. Smaller. More ordinary. Last night it was magic. Today it was just a building. Mrs. Kim was in her office. She had tea ready. "Sit, child. You look exhausted." Emma sat. She took the tea but didn't drink. "You knew. The whole time. You knew who he was." "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" Mrs. Kim smiled. "Because it wasn't my truth to tell. It was his. But I made a fool of myself. Challenging a world-famous pianist to play for me. Like I was anyone special." "You are special. To him. That's why he accepted." Emma shook her head. "I don't understand any of this. Why did he hide? Why work as a janitor? Why pretend to be normal?" Mrs. Kim poured her own tea. "He didn't pretend, Emma. He is normal. Fame doesn't make you special. It just makes you visible. Daniel was tired of being visible. He wanted to be human again. But why here? Why this place? Why not? This is a good place. We help people. We don't judge. When Daniel came here 5 years ago, I saw a broken young man. He needed work. He needed quiet. He needed to heal. So I gave him a job. No questions asked." "Did he tell you what happened? In Vienna?" "Some of it. Over time. He had a breakdown, Emma. The kind that comes from years of pressure. From being treated like a product instead of a person. From never having a normal life." Emma finally sipped her tea. It was chamomile. Calming. "He played last night like someone who was never broken." "No," Mrs. Kim said gently. "He played like someone who was broken and healed. That's different. That's better. Perfect things are cold. Healed things are warm." Emma thought about that. Everyone knows now. His secret is out. Reporters were calling me all night. Yes. That will be hard for him. He valued his privacy. So what happens now? Mrs. Kim looked at Emma with wise old eyes. "That depends on you." "On me? You made a promise?" "He kept his end. The question is, will you keep yours?" Emma's stomach flipped. "You can't seriously think I should marry him. I barely know him." "You know his heart. You heard it last night. Every note was honest. How many people do you know that well? But marriage is serious. It's forever. You can't just marry someone because they played piano beautifully." "No. But you can marry someone who is brave enough to break and brave enough to heal. Someone who worked as a janitor when he could have been famous. Someone who chose you over everyone else in the world." Emma felt tears again. "I'm scared." "Of course you are. Love is terrifying. It asks us to be vulnerable. To trust. To risk everything for something we can't control. What if it doesn't work? What if we're too different?" Mrs. Kim stood up. "Come with me." She led Emma out of the office. Down the hallway. To the room with the piano. The old broken piano was still there. But next to it was the beautiful Steinway from last night. Daniel was there. Sitting on the floor. His back against the wall. His eyes closed. He looked exhausted. "Daniel," Mrs. Kim said gently. He opened his eyes. When he saw Emma, he stood up quickly. "Emma. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Mrs. Kim left them alone. Closed the door behind her. Emma and Daniel stood 10 feet apart. Not touching. Not moving. I should have told you, Daniel said. His voice was rough. Like he'd been crying. From the beginning. I should have been honest. Why weren't you? Because I liked how you saw me. As just Daniel. Not as Daniel Constantine. Not as the prodigy. Not as the legend. Just as a man. Nobody has looked at me that way in years. Emma took a step closer. You let me challenge you. You let me act like I was better than you. You never acted like that. You were just confident. I liked that about you. You knew your worth. So many people in my life told me my worth based on my talent. You didn't care about my talent. You cared about my character. I do care about your talent, Daniel. That performance last night was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Daniel looked down. It was honest. Maybe too honest. I put everything into it. All my pain. All my hope. All my feelings about you. Your feelings about me? He looked up. His eyes were red. I'm in love with you, Emma. I have been since the first day I saw you play that broken piano. You reminded me why music matters. Why life matters. You woke something in me that was sleeping. Emma felt her heart racing. Daniel, we barely know each other. I know. I'm not asking you to marry me. Not really. That promise was just an excuse. A way to push myself to play again. To face my fears. You don't owe me anything. But I made a promise. Promises made in jokes aren't binding. Maybe they should be, Emma said. The same words she said to Lisa. Daniel stepped closer. Now only 5 feet separated them. What are you saying? Emma took a breath. I'm saying I don't know what I want. But I know I don't want to marry Richard. I know I don't want the life my mother planned. I know that when you played last night, something in me changed. I saw what bravery looks like. Real bravery. Not the fake kind where everything is safe. The real kind where you risk everything. I'm broken, Emma. I'm better than I was, but I'm still broken. I have nightmares. Sometimes I can't play for weeks. I see a therapist twice a month. I'm not the perfect husband material your family wants. I don't want perfect, Emma said. Perfect is boring. I want real. I'm real. Too real sometimes. They were 3 feet apart now. Close enough to touch. But neither moved. The reporters, Emma said. They're going to make this a circus. They'll follow you. Follow us. They'll want interviews. Explanations. The world will be watching. I know. I'm sorry for dragging you into that. What will you do now? Now that everyone knows you're alive? Daniel looked at the piano. I don't know. I can't go back to the old life. The tours. The pressure. The expectations. That would kill me. But you could play again. On your own terms. Small concerts. Teaching. Something that feeds your soul instead of draining it. Maybe. If I can figure out how. Emma reached out. She touched his hand. His fingers were warm. We could figure it out together. Daniel looked at their hands. What do you mean? I mean I don't want to marry you tomorrow. That would be crazy. But I want to know you. Really know you. Not the legend. Not the janitor. Just you. The person between those identities. You want to date me? Daniel almost smiled. Yes. If you want to date me. Emma, I've wanted that since the first moment I saw you. They stood there holding hands. It wasn't romantic like in movies. It was awkward and uncertain and strange. But it was real. My mother will hate this, Emma said. My parents will probably show up when they hear I'm alive. Richard will be angry? The media will be intrusive. Everyone will have opinions. Everyone will judge. They looked at each other. Then they both started laughing. Nervous laughter. Scared laughter. But also hopeful laughter. So we're doing this? Emma asked. We're doing this, Daniel said. Emma took a breath. Okay. But I have conditions. Anything. First, complete honesty. No more secrets. No more hiding important things. Agreed. Second, we go slow. I'm not marrying you because of a promise. If we get married someday, it will be because we choose it. Together. Agreed. Third, you have to meet my family properly. And I have to meet yours if they show up. No avoiding the hard stuff. Daniel squeezed her hand. Agreed. Do you have a fourth condition? Emma thought about it. Yes. You have to teach me to play like you do. Daniel smiled. Really smiled. The first real smile Emma had seen on his face. I can't teach you to play like me. But I can help you play like you. Even better than you do now. Deal. They shook hands like business partners. Then they laughed at how ridiculous that was. Here they were, making deals about a relationship that might not work. In a community center. After the strangest 3 months of their lives. But somehow it felt right. Not perfect. Not easy. But real and honest and brave. Outside, the world was waiting. Reporters. Family. Friends. Questions. Judgments. The future was uncertain and probably difficult. But inside that room, with the morning light coming through the windows and the piano sitting quiet, Emma and Daniel had something simple and true. A choice. To try. To risk. To see what happened when two broken people decided to be brave together. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was just a beginning. And maybe that was better. The next morning, Emma woke up to the sound of her doorbell ringing. She looked at the clock. 7 in the morning. Too early for visitors. She opened the door. Her mother stood there. Her face was tight with anger. Mom, what are you doing here? Her mother pushed past her into the apartment. We need to talk. Right now. Emma closed the door. Would you like coffee? No. I want answers. Are you really dating that janitor? That man who lied about who he was? Emma walked to the kitchen. She needed coffee even if her mother didn't. His name is Daniel. And yes, we're dating? Dating? Emma, what about Richard? He's been patient with you. He's waiting for an answer about marriage. Emma poured coffee. Then he can stop waiting. The answer is no. Her mother gasped. No? Emma, Richard is perfect for you. He has money, status, a good family. What does this janitor have? He has a heart, Mom. And honesty. And courage. Things that matter more than money. You can't eat courage, Emma. You need security. Stability. Richard can give you that. Emma turned to face her mother. Did you love Dad when you married him? Her mother looked surprised. What kind of question is that? A simple one. Did you love him? Or did you marry him because he was safe? Her mother's face softened. Then hardened again. Love comes later. After marriage. After building a life together. No, Mom. Sometimes it doesn't come at all. I've watched you and Dad for 28 years. You're roommates. Not lovers. Not partners. Just two people who share a house. That's not fair. Maybe not. But it's true. And I don't want that life. I want something real. Even if it's messy. Even if it's hard. Her mother sat down. She suddenly looked old. Tired. I just want you to be safe, Emma. The world is hard. Love doesn't pay bills. Emma sat next to her. I know you're scared for me. But I have to choose my own path. Even if it's different from yours. What if it doesn't work? What if this janitor breaks your heart? Then he breaks my heart. And I'll survive. Just like you survived. Just like everyone survives. Her mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Richard's family will be upset. They've been planning an engagement. Let them be upset. They'll survive too. Her mother stood up. I can't support this, Emma. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But you're an adult. You have to make your own mistakes. After her mother left, Emma felt empty. She knew this would be hard. But hearing her mother say she couldn't support her hurt more than expected. Her phone rang. It was Richard. Emma, we need to talk face to face. Richard, I think we've said everything already. Please. Just meet me for coffee. One last time. I deserve that. Emma agreed. They met at a neutral coffee shop. Not Emma's favorite place. Somewhere with no memories. Richard was already there. He wore a suit even on a Monday morning. Always proper. Always correct. Thank you for coming, he said. Emma sat down. Richard, I'm sorry. I know this isn't what you wanted. Is it really over? Because of a janitor who played piano? It's over because we don't love each other. Not really. We're just comfortable together. Richard stirred his coffee. I do care about you, Emma. I know. And I care about you. But caring isn't the same as loving. You deserve someone who loves you with their whole heart. And you think this janitor loves you that way? His name is Daniel. And yes, I think he might. Or he might someday. Or maybe it won't work out. But at least I'm trying for something real. Richard nodded slowly. I think I always knew you weren't really with me. You were always somewhere else. Thinking about something else. I just didn't want to admit it. I'm sorry I wasted your time. You didn't waste anything. You were honest eventually. That's more than some people manage. They finished their coffee. They said goodbye like old friends. No drama. No anger. Just two people who tried and failed to be something they weren't. As Emma walked to her car, she felt lighter. Freer. One more tie to the old life cut away. That afternoon, Emma went to the academy. She needed to talk to her boss. The dean. An old man named Professor Crawford who had worked there for 40 years. Ah, Emma, he said when she knocked on his office door. Come in. I've been expecting you. Emma sat down. His office was full of books and pictures of famous musicians. You have? The whole school is talking about Saturday night. About you and the janitor. About the promise. About Daniel Constantine. Emma felt her face get hot. I'm sorry if it's caused problems for the academy. Professor Crawford leaned back in his chair. Problems? My dear, you've given us the most publicity we've had in years. Applications are up 15% this week. Everyone wants to study where Emma Chen teaches. Emma was surprised. Really? Really? Though I admit, some of the faculty are scandalized. Professor White submitted a formal complaint about your behavior. A complaint? Yes. She thinks you've acted inappropriately. Dating a man below your station. Making promises in public. Causing drama. Emma felt anger rise. What I do in my personal life is my business. Professor Crawford smiled. I agree. Which is why I rejected her complaint. However, I do want to ask you something. What? Are you happy? With this decision? With Daniel? Emma thought about it. I don't know yet. We're just starting. But I feel more alive than I have in years. So maybe that's a kind of happiness. Good. That's what I hoped you'd say. Music without passion is just noise. Life without passion is just existence. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Emma left his office feeling better. At least someone understood. At least one person in her professional life supported her. Meanwhile, Daniel was dealing with his own problems. Reporters found out where he lived. They camped outside his apartment. They followed him to work. They asked endless questions. "Mr. Constantine, why did you disappear? Are you getting married? Will you perform again? What happened in Vienna?" Daniel said nothing. He just walked past them. But it was exhausting. Frightening. This was exactly what he ran away from 5 years ago. Mrs. Kim hired security for the community center. But even then, reporters snuck in. They took pictures. They interviewed other staff. They made up stories when they couldn't find real ones. One evening, Daniel called Emma. "I don't know if I can do this." "Do what?" "This. All of it. The attention. The pressure. It's too much like before." Emma heard the panic in his voice. "Where are you?" "At the community center. In the storage room." "I'm coming." "Stay there." Emma drove fast. She pushed past the reporters outside. She found Daniel in the storage room. He was sitting on the floor. His hands were shaking. "Hey," she said softly. She sat down next to him. "Breathe with me. In. Out. In. Out." They breathed together. Slowly, Daniel's hands stopped shaking. "I thought I was ready," he said. "I thought I could handle being visible again. But it's too much. Then we make it smaller. We control what we can control. The rest, we ignore." "How?" "First, you release a statement. Something simple. Say you're alive, you're well, and you want privacy. That you won't be giving interviews or making public appearances. Will they listen? Some won't. But some will. And it's a start. Second, you move. Get away from the reporters. Find a new place. Maybe closer to me." Daniel looked at her. "You'd want that?" "Yes. This is hard enough without being in different places." Over the next week, they put the plan into action. Daniel released his statement through a lawyer. Daniel Constantine is grateful for the concern from fans and media. He is healthy and happy. He asks for privacy as he rebuilds his life. He has no plans to return to public performance. Thank you for understanding. Some media respected this. Others didn't. But the attention started to fade. People moved on to the next story. The next scandal. The next surprise. Daniel found a new apartment. Small. Quiet. Only 10 minutes from Emma. He didn't tell anyone except Emma and Mrs. Kim where it was. He also made a big decision. He resigned from his janitor job. Not because he was ashamed of it. But because he needed something new. Something that combined his old skills with his new values. He talked to Mrs. Kim about starting a music program at the community center. Free lessons for kids who couldn't afford them. No pressure. No competitions. Just learning for the joy of it. Mrs. Kim loved the idea. She helped him write a grant application. They got funding from the city. By the end of the month, Daniel had 10 students. Kids from poor families. Kids who dreamed of playing piano but never had the chance. Emma helped him teach. They made a good team. She was structured and patient. He was creative and inspiring. The kids loved them both. One day, a little girl named Sophia said, "Mr. Daniel, are you really famous?" Daniel smiled. "I used to be. But now I'm just your teacher." "That's better," Sophia said. "Famous people are far away. Teachers are here." Emma watched Daniel with the children. He was so gentle. So encouraging. When a kid played the wrong notes, he didn't correct them harshly. He said, "That was brave. Let's try again together." This was who Daniel was meant to be. Not a performing legend. Not a product. Just a teacher. A guide. A person who shared his gift without losing himself. Emma's relationship with her family stayed difficult. Her mother called once a week. The conversations were short and cold. Her father didn't call at all. But Emma accepted this. Maybe someday they would understand. Maybe they never would. Either way, she had to live her own life. 6 months passed. Emma and Daniel dated properly. They went to movies. Cooked dinner together. Took walks in the park. Talked for hours about everything and nothing. They fought sometimes. About small things. About big things. Emma was stubborn. Daniel was sensitive. But they learned to communicate. To compromise. To apologize when they were wrong. Emma discovered Daniel's nightmares. Sometimes he woke up sweating, reliving Vienna. She learned to hold him. To remind him where he was. That he was safe. Daniel discovered Emma's insecurities. She worried she wasn't talented enough. Pretty enough. Good enough. He learned to reassure her. To show her the beauty he saw in her. They learned each other's favorite things. Emma loved Thai food and old movies. Daniel loved hiking and mystery novels. They tried new things together. Some they loved. Some they didn't. But they tried. One evening, they were cooking dinner in Daniel's apartment. Emma was chopping vegetables. Daniel was making sauce. Music played in the background. Not classical. Just simple folk music. "I'm happy," Emma said suddenly. Daniel looked at her. "Good. Me too. I mean really happy. Not the fake happy where everything is perfect. The real happy where things are messy but right." Daniel put down his spoon. He walked over to her. He put his hands on her face. "I love you, Emma Chen." Emma smiled. "I love you too, Daniel Constantine. Or just Daniel. Or whoever you are. I'm still figuring that out." "Me too. We can figure it out together." They kissed. It was soft and sweet and tasted like tomato sauce. They laughed. Daniel had sauce on his nose. Emma wiped it off. They finished cooking. They ate together. They talked about their students. About their plans for the next music class. About a hiking trip they wanted to take. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't perfect. It was just life. But it was their life. Chosen. Built. Created. 1 year after the famous performance, the community center held a small concert. Daniel and Emma played together. A duet. Nothing fancy. Nothing famous. Just a simple piece for 4 hands. 100 people came. Not 200. Just the community. The kids they taught. The volunteers they worked with. Mrs. Kim in the front row. Some of Emma's students. A few of Daniel's old friends who supported his new life. No reporters. No cameras. No pressure. Just music for people who appreciated it. After the concert, Mrs. Kim pulled them aside. "I have a question for both of you." "What?" Emma asked. "When are you getting married?" Emma and Daniel looked at each other. They hadn't talked about it seriously. The promise from a year ago seemed like a different lifetime. "We don't know," Daniel said. "Maybe someday." Mrs. Kim smiled. "Well, when you do, I hope you'll let me attend." "You'll be the first one invited," Emma promised. That night, lying in bed, Emma said, "Do you want to get married?" Daniel thought about it. "Someday. When it feels right. Not because of a promise. Because we choose it." "How will we know when it's right?" "I don't know. Maybe when we stop asking that question." Emma laughed. "That's very wise. I have my moments." They fell asleep holding hands. Tomorrow they would wake up and teach music to kids. They would deal with small problems and small joys. They would live an ordinary life that felt extraordinary because they chose it together. Daniel was no longer Daniel Constantine the legend. He was Daniel the teacher. The partner. The work in progress. Emma was no longer the music teacher who followed rules and met expectations. She was Emma the adventurer. The risk taker. The woman who chose passion over security. Together, they were just two people who met by accident and stayed by choice. Who played music not for fame but for joy. Who built a life not on perfection but on honesty. It wasn't the fairy tale ending people expected when they heard about the piano legend and the music teacher. It was better. It was real. And maybe, in a year or 2 or 5, Daniel would play at a concert hall again. On his own terms. With Emma by his side. Or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd just keep teaching kids in a community center. Helping them find joy in music without the pressure he once carried. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in years, both Daniel and Emma were okay with that. Because uncertainty meant possibility. And possibility was where life happened. The piano sat in the corner of the community center. The old broken one. They never threw it away. Sometimes, late at night, Daniel would play it. The out-of-tune notes. The sticky keys. The imperfect sound. And Emma would listen. And smile. Because that broken piano was where their story started. Where a janitor who was really a legend met a teacher who was really an adventurer. Where two people brave enough to be broken found a way to be whole together. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything.